Hey friends, how are you all? So today we are gonna see what if Naruto went Dymiyo court after succeeding in the Uchiha Retrieval mission movie. The waves of the sea were rough as ever around the islands that made up the Uzumaki nation thanks to the fact that it was starched away in an area where the hot and cold waters of the world constantly collided and you had raging storms, whirlpools and create states away inside of the deep. That didn't bother the crew of the SS Fire Shadow. It was one of the 30 sea vessels that the Land of Fire controlled and had a veteran crew. The captain of the vessel was once a captain in the world government, the global peacekeeping force that spanned the entire world and policed 180 nations and had an uneasy truce with the other 87 nations. Of course, with the WG operating mostly out of the island nations, they truly had little to do with the continents. "Captain, a word if you will," said a voice at his door. The captain turned to the young steward, an official of the Land of Fire courts, a retainer of the courts. "What do you need, lad?" "I have to place the tides," said Captain, looking over his charts. The bureaucrat adjusted his glasses and looked at the captain. "Have you taken the necessary precautions with our prisoner?" said the man. I have my best men watching him. I still can't fathom an entire crew dedicated to taking one man to purgatory," said Captain. "Yes, well, Uzumaki Naruto is well worth it in the eyes of the courts," said the court official. SS Fire Shadow lower deck holding cell. Same time the young man sat in his cell with two guards holding elongated swords to his neck, even thought he had several chains, seals, and other types of restrictions on his body. He was Uzumaki Naruto. He stood at 56 and thanks to the weeks that he was kept in the Konoha prison system he lost about 20 pounds. His once short spike sun-kissed blonde hair was now at his shoulders. His vibrant blue eyes had dulled considerably. He wore a pair of black cargo pants and a white long-sleeve cargo shirt with his name on the front right along with his new number 00999. He was Uzumaki Naruto, and Konoha was going to pray that he never left the island. "For what it's worth, kid, I think you're getting a bum rap," said the guard on the left. He was taller than his counterpart, so Naruto had dubbed him Slim. "Aye boy, I heard about your trial. That trial by the Dymiyo, your Hokage, councils, and court was nothing but a farce," said the guard on the right. He was muscular, so Naruto dubbed him Muscles. Naruto chuckled. "It's all right. That place was hell. If anything, they freed me," said Naruto. Slim sighed. "You may think otherwise when you learn about the place we are headed, lad." Naruto looked at Slim. "What do you guys mean?" asked Naruto. Both Slim and Muscles moved their blades away from Naruto's neck. "The official story, lad, is that the island is controlled by the world government and its affiliated counties. The island is made up of levels. The lower the level, the higher the threat housed in it. Unfortunately, that's where the official story ends," said Muscles. Slim took out a cigarette and looked at Naruto. "You have a problem with smoking, guppy?" asked Slim. Naruto shook his head as Slim lit up. "So what's the truth?" asked Naruto. "The truth is that while the guards maintain a presence on the island the prisoners took over years ago, the top of the island is controlled by the warden and her 4 divas. Each of them is as strong as one of the elemental nation's elite jonin, or what we know is the equivalent of a captain. After that they have control of level 1 and 2, but after that it's the prisoners who have all the power," said Muscles. "There are over 100 gangs that live in the lower levels of the prison colony, but all those are just satellites of the 3 major gangs, Scared Chain, Broken Sword, and Chaos Control," said Slim. Naruto whistled. "Damn, I must have really pissed someone off to get sent to a place with guys that strong," said Naruto. "No son," said Slim as he stubbed out his cigarette, "you just have the luck of the devil against you currently." Location: Purgatory Dock 0000. The SS Fire Shadow docked only a few minutes ago and the powers that be were currently meeting. Naruto had 4 guards around him as he looked at the woman who was the warden of the prison, and Naruto had to admit she was beautiful. She stood at about 59. With a Coke bottle figure and massive E-cup breasts and a bubble butt, long black hair that she allowed to flow freely, purple eyes, pale skin. She wore the white and blue prison guard uniform with a tie, a long black coat that held her prized katana, a gift from the Admiralty Board for her years of dedicated service. Behind her were her head guards. Each was fully covered in a black cloak, but you could easily tell that 3 were male and 1 was female. "Warden Cryan, it is good to see you again," said the captain. "Good day, Captain, and remember that is my mother's name. My name is Satsuki. I received word you would be arriving with a prisoner," said the woman. "Yes, Uzumaki Naruto. His actions include hurting Uchiha Sasuke, housing the Kyuubi no Kitsune, defacing," started the court official. "I know the charges, and if it wasn't for the truce I would take my forces and raze that village to the ground myself," said Satsuki, looking at the official with her cold eyes making him jump backwards. "But he is a criminal of the highest order," yelled the official. "A criminal in the eyes of the people for doing his job. You dogs in the Land of Fire have no honor," said the man in the black and blue cloak. The official looked at him in anger, before glaring at him. Well, as it stands, your orders are to take him into your custody, said the official. Satsuki signaled for her people to take Naruto to his assigned level. They stopped walking as Naruto stood next to her. Out of curiosity, which gang runs the level I am on? Asked Naruto. The leaders of the gangs live on level 3, you will live on level 9, if it makes you feel any better, know that you are not the first this honor-less system has robbed of his life. There is no honor for heroes anymore, said Satsuki. Naruto chuckled. Robbed? You're wrong, Warden, it's given me a second chance at it, said Naruto as he was led into the bowels of purgatory. As the elevator finally got to level 9, the guards all walked in flanking Naruto. Naruto took a look at his surrounding and saw that the cells were built into the walls of this level. There were 9 floors on this level, but that's all he saw. He knew there was more to this place than meets the eye. They stopped at the bottom of the cell and looked at the prisoner who was in the cell, and Naruto was a bit surprised at who his cellmate was. It was a young woman, maybe around 18 or 19, she was slender with long legs and large D-cup breasts. Mocha-colored skin, yellow eyes, silver hair, and a scar on the bridge of her nose, a white shirt that showed her stomach and make it look like her breasts could pop out at any minute. A blue coat over that with a massive belt that fell to her back, giving her the appearance of a tail, blue jean shorts that were cut and tight showing the bottom of her ass and her long legs, and a pair of brown boots with metal claws on the front. Prisoner NP13054, step back, said the woman guard. The prisoner sat up from her bed and glared at the guard as she got against the walls. I told you before, bitch, it's Bullet, and without that pretty little warden guarding you, I'd pull that sharp tongue of yours out and shove it up your ass, sneered Bullet. Still as charming as ever, this is your new roommate, have fun and try not to kill him too quickly, said the guard before they took off Naruto's cuffs and pushed him into the cell, before they left. As Naruto rubbed his wrists, he turned to Bullet, only to meet a fist that staggered him. Naruto hit the bars, before he found knees in his stomach. Bullet then threw Naruto onto the ground and straddled his waist, her right fist above his face, posed for a killing strike. Bullet grabbed Naruto's shirt and forced him to look at her. Let's get something clear right now, boy, I am not your bitch, you're mine. I say squat and piss, you squat and piss. I say fuck me, you fuck me good and hard. I own you now, said Bullet as she got off of Naruto. Naruto grabbed his busted nose and then got up and dragged himself to the second bed and laid down. Before he drifted off into a restless sleep, while he slept his mind was plagued by images of his former home, Tsunade's and Shizune's tears, Jiraiya's anger as those in charge, his so-called friends turning their backs on him, all of it swirled around inside of his mind. He was awakened in what seemed like only seconds as a sharp pain found his side. Naruto sat up with a start to find Bullet at his bed. Time to earn some creds for me, new meat, said Bullet as she opened the door. Naruto got up and followed her out of the cell. Everywhere he looked, everyone was in different states of dress. He stopped as he looked at one cell where a few men were taking turns on a defenseless woman. The only thing Naruto could see on her was a burn mark on the right side of her chest. Naruto was about to rush the cell but was stopped by Bullet. Here's a little tip for you if you don't want to die meat. If she can't defend herself, then she's just a cum dumpster. In this place the strong rule and the weak are subject to that rule. Come on, new meat, said Bullet. Naruto glared at her. Naruto, said Naruto. Bullet stopped and rounded on Naruto. What did you just say? Asked Bullet. Naruto, that's my name, said Naruto. Bullet smirked. So new meat found his balls, huh? Asked Bullet. Naruto swung on Bullet. Bullet saw the attack coming a mile away and ducked the attack, before coming back and hitting Naruto in the gut, before raising her leg and bringing it down on Naruto's shoulder and sending him down to the ground, before she put her foot on his face. Until you earn your name, your new meat. Come on, we're late, said Bullet. Naruto followed after her. They went down to the 5th floor before Naruto saw where they were headed. It was a long white hallway different from the steel-colored walls. They walked for several minutes before they arrived at a large room that looked more like a marketplace. They had everything from food to weapons, and they were priced. What the hell? Asked Naruto as he looked at a Bowie knife that was priced at 1,000 creds. It's a system that the warden created. She is a firm and true believer of the strong devour the weak, and honor still lives. Her system keeps people from getting out of line here, said Bullet as they passed several people and went to the very back where a bar was. Bullet pulled Naruto into the bar. The bar was mostly empty except for 4 other people. Naruto looked at them and quickly came to realize that they were all women between the ages of 15 and 25. The first was a girl who appeared to be about 18. She stood at 52 with moon-pale skin, C-cup breasts, white Heim-style hair, onyx-colored eyes. She wore a snow-white kimono, and had white flowers in her hair. In her hand was a round mirror. Behind the bar was another girl about Naruto's age. She stood at the same height as the white-haired girl, but her rack was stupid huge, being about DD with an ass to match. Long blue hair that flowed to her ass. Wearing a yellow no-sleeve button-up shirt with the top 3 buttons undone, a red no-sleeve vest,
a pair of black jean short shorts, black thigh-high stockings, and brown boots. Sitting on the couch was a woman who looked exotic compared to the others. She appeared to be about 56 with a body that was trained for fighting, long purple hair, oriental-colored skin, wearing a black sports top, a pair of cut-off jeans that were undone, combat boots, and fingerless gloves. The most interesting thing about her was the tribal tattoo that went up to her neck and left arm.
Finally was the last member of this little group and by far the most beautiful. She was also the tallest standing at nearly 511, and had the biggest breasts of the group at F cup. Wide hips with long slender legs, black hair that was in a bob cut, blue eyes with a coy smile on her lips, wearing a pair of purple skin-tight pants, a yellow leopard top that stopped at her belly button, high-heeled cowboy boots, and a white cowboy hat.
"Bullet is finally here," said the white-haired girl in a monotone of voice. "It's about damn the bitch got here," said the woman picking up a drink.
"That's not nice," yelled the blue-haired girl, "and whoever accused her of being nice," said Cowboy Hat.
Yeah, good to see you too bitch," said Bullet taking a seat at the bar as the blue-haired girl gave her a drink.
"So who's the new meat?" asked Cowboy Hat. "Name's Naruto, Uzumaki D. Naruto," said Naruto only to meet a boot to the face that sent him to the ground. Bullet glared at him. "What did I fucking tell you in the cells?" "Huh, new meat?" asked Bullet as Naruto spat out blood and glared at Bullet. Tattoo Woman laughed. "You got a feisty one there, Bullet. I might have to take him for a ride one day," said Tattoo Woman. "Only if you let me borrow Blair," said Bullet. Cowboy had closed her book and stood up. "Well, if he's your new cellmate then he needs to know who we are," said Cowboy Hat bowing slightly. "My name is Nico Robin, Robin for short. I am something of a de facto leader and mother to these girls. I also work as an information broker here on level 9. I am Revy, that's all you need to know," said Tattoo.
"I am Blair Flanagan. I am the bread and butter of the team," said Vest. "She also happens to give some of the best head I've ever had in my life. I am so glad she was made my cellmate," said Revy getting up and putting her arms around Blair, before giving her a big sloppy kiss tongue and all.
"Kana of the Void," said the white-haired girl. "This is my spot as well as our base. We are a gang that has no name and we are not affiliated with any of the top gangs," said Robin sitting down. Naruto sat down on a bar stool. "Any rules that I should know about?" asked Naruto. "There are no real rules here on level 9, only the rules that govern the gangs and even then they're few and far between.
You want a bitch to fuck, there are several places to find one. Some are owned by the big 3 and take a lot of creds. I'll tell you now, rape of men and women is fairly common here on level 9, so watch yourself. The only way you're safe is if you're part of one of the major gangs, a satellite of a major gang, or in the pocket of the guards. Sadly we don't fall into any of those groups," said Robin. "What about that girl earlier?" asked Naruto. Revy pulled herself away from Blair, who had a massive blush on her face. She was once a member of Broken Sword. The tattoo on her chest indicated as much. It was burned. She was excommunicated from the gang for feeding information another gang that's been making a name for itself lately. All that was as a message to the new gang that they have eyes on everything, said Blair getting some water out the sink. "Okay, anything else I need to know?" asked Naruto. "Yeah. Creds are the key to being comfy here. You need a lot. To eat a decent meal it's about 50,000 creds. The biggest non-satellite gang in the 9th level has close to 2 million creds and that's barely enough for the top brass on the level. There are several ways to earn creds here: gambling, selling your body, contract killing, stealing, and the games. Tonight just happens to be a game night. Some of the higher-ups will be coming down here," said Revy. Naruto was putting all this together in his head before frowning. He wasn't the sharpest kunai in the pouch, but even he could see that this prison wasn't quite right. "This isn't a normal prison, is it?" asked Naruto. "Rapes, killings, money. This is sounding like a closed-off city from hell," said Naruto. Revy lit up a cigarette. "Before blowing some, you're starting to catch on, new meat. This here is a city that exists at the end of the world. Hell is paradise compared to this place, and regardless of the guards and wardens, it's the cons who have run of the place. The 3 gangs on floor 3 are as close to Olympias as it's going to get for us here in Purgatory," said Revy. "What about the cell doors and shit?" asked Naruto. "A formality. Anyone can open those doors at any time. The only time we all must be in our cells is when new prisoners are escorted here and the warden does an inspection, otherwise we are left to our own devices," said Kana getting up. Naruto frowned. "This really is hell," thought Naruto. "Come on, new meat, we need to put in some work," said Bullet, grabbing Naruto and dragging him away. As they were leaving, Robin couldn't help but want to know more about the boy. All prisoners had their power suppressed when they were entered into the prison by the many seals, runes, and other such things, but the boy, Robin could sense his power even with all of that. "I'll have to get in touch with my informant in the guards. I need to see his file," thought Robin, before looking over to Revi who had Blair between her legs with a pure look of bliss on her face.
Robin sometimes felt bad for the girl. She was nice and helpful with whatever was needed. However, Revi broke her in for an entire month before brining her around. By then she was already an obedient slave to Revi's every desire. She had her uses and that's all that mattered. "Revi, when you're done I need Blair for a mission," said Robin. The only response she got was a moan. Robin got up and began to walk out with Kanna following her like a lost puppy.
Location: Level 9. Fighting pits. Same time. Sound of breaking bones, tearing flesh, screams of pain and excitement, the secant on blood hanging in the air. This is what Naruto was introduced to as they walked into one of Level 9's many fighting areas. Already he could see that the structure was set up like the illegal backroom brawling pits that he fought in as a kid. The pit itself was 10 feet deep, 20 feet wide, and 30 feet long. "Alright, new meat, here's how this works. The pits are open 24 hours a day. Creds these little coins," said Bullet, giving Naruto a coin. It was a 100-piece coin. Coins are made of 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. That's your opening creds. You can use it to bet on yourself or others in a fight. Go get a girl from one of the whore groups running around, or eat. Got the new meat?
Naruto nodded. "More or less," said Naruto as he walked over to the pit and tapped the shoulder of a man who looked to be the overseer. "What, kid?" asked the overseer. "I want to place a bet on myself. Next fight," said Naruto. The overseer looked at him. "You sure, kid? The next guy is known to be a bit of a brute," said the overseer since he was somewhat in charge of booking the matches. "I got 100 on myself," said Naruto. "At 1,000 to 1 odds, you might make a killing if you don't get killed," said overseer as the current fight finished. Naruto handed him the money and jumped into the ring. His opponent was all muscle. People roared, but they were drowned out as Naruto looked his enemy dead in the eye. The man smirked at Naruto. Before raising his arms, the large man charged in and began throwing punches. Naruto avoided the punches with little ease. Compared to Haku, compared to Lee, compared to that tame Sasuke, thought Naruto, vanishing from a haymaker that would have taken his head only to appear behind the man. "You might as well be standing still," said Naruto as he walked away from the man. Everyone looked on as the man was stuck in his last attack pose, only to fall over dead. Everyone was silent, even Bullet, who had barely caught what he did. To think that he could kill someone with just a needle to the heart. Naruto looked at the clothes that Robin had given him only a week ago and was slightly disappointed that there was no orange in the design. He now wore black cargo shorts, a white long-sleeve shirt, a yellow half-sleeve jacket with metal plates on the shoulders, black tape wrapped around his right hand, and brown boots. How she managed to get the clothes so quickly. It also didn't hurt that Kanna had given him a haircut. His hair that went to his shoulders formerly now was cut short. "Hey, you clean up pretty nicely, kid," said Revi, licking her lips. "Thanks," said Naruto, trying not to catch the interest of the psychotic woman before him. Kanna walked up to Naruto and inspected the clothes herself. Before nodding, she went over to the counter where Blair was and gabbed a piece of cake. Robin and Bullet were both out, leaving Revi in charge of things. Over the last 2 months, Naruto had proven that he was invaluable to the gang. He was a good earner in the nightly fights. So far he was undefeated in the ring. Or games as they were called. Bullet even allowed him to keep an allowance when he fought another guy from another information broker and won. Revi all but ordered Blair to suck him dry as his reward. Bullet pretty much sat there pleasing herself before riding him, while a normal male wouldn't mind that happening. But what Bullet did was a pure show of power. She showed who the master was and who the bitch was. Naruto quickly learned the structure of the gang and even who the ruling gang of the 9th level was. It was a satellite gang of the Chaos Control, Order's Descent. It had over 200 members in level 9. Its leader was Mad Dog Lars, the crazy convict who killed an entire town that was under the control of one of the WG counties. Like many prisoners, he wanted to ascend to the upper floors and one day be free. Few ever truly left, and those sentenced to level 10 were left forgotten to rot for all intents and purposes. Demons who raped, killed and breed. Now only madness existed in the lower levels. Naruto himself planned to ascend to Olympias and maybe one day be free. The door burst open with Bullet storming in and Robin following after her. Robin never really had a frown on her face, but the one on her face now was quite bad. Before anyone could ask what was wrong, Bullet fired off a punch that nearly destroyed the wall. Revi, Naruto, and Blair jumped back and Kanna shielded her cake. "I can't believe those fuckers," yelled Bullet, throwing another punch. "Calm yourself, Bullet," said Robin as she pinched her nose to stave off a coming headache. "What's going on, Robin-san?" asked Blair, walking up to her girlfriend, and Robin turned to her gang and looked at them. Mad Dog took out the gangs that represented Scared Chain and Broken Sword in an ambush in their bases and taken all their creds. He's planning on using the creds to take his main crew to level 8. he intends to do so by taking on the gatekeeper, said Robin. Gatekeeper? Asked Naruto. The gatekeeper is someone that the warden, and the leaders of the 3 gangs. Each level has one and each is strong, said Robin. Can we challenge the gatekeeper? Asked Naruto. It's not that simple, said Kana. To challenge the gatekeeper on this level you need to pay a toll of 3 million creds. The last time someone gathered that amount of CRDS was a year ago. He was the then acting leader of a no-name gang that worked under Broken Sword. Any of his people in the pits tonight? Asked Naruto, making the girls look at him. His right-hand man Zaza the Bloody Beast, said Robin as she fished a book out of her coat pocket. 99 victories. 0 loses, 234 confirmed kills before his capture 7 years ago, and since then 472 kills. He normally fights with Tiger Claws. What's the bet to fight him? Asked Naruto. 500,000 creds, combined we have 250,000. We'd have to put ourselves into servitude to pay if you lose to him, said Revi. Hey new meat, don't get cocky, yelled Bullet. I fought him before, and trust me he is not so easy to beat. Even when he was done beating my ass he wasn't done with me. He raped me in that arena in front of all those people and all I heard was laughing as he did so. Zaza is a beast. Naruto smirked as his eyes turned red. He may be a beast, but I am a demon, said Naruto. Location: Purgatory Level 9 fighting pits. Later that night. Mad Dog Lars was a large man, easily standing at 69, muscular with several dog-like tattoos on his arms. Neck-length black hair, a full beard, wearing black pants, boots, and a leather vest that was open. Surrounding him was his men and ladies that he had taken into his dolls as the strongest prisoner on level 9. He was so close to making his way to level 8. He was short a few hundred creds, but once he had the money he would take the top 20 men in his gang and ascend to level 8 and start over again. Lars-sama, how long is this going to take? Asked one of his broken dolls. Soon my sweet, just have to watch Zaza break this bastard so I can add 5 more women to my collection, said Lars, looking back to the ring. Zaza, his right-hand man, was already in the ring. Zaza wasn't overly large, standing at 66, brown hair, wearing ripped blue jeans. On his hands were his tiger claws. Across the arena Lars could see the girl gang that had no name. He had wanted to fuck them for so long, but because of the fact that they were unaffiliated and supplied info to all the factions they had a pass most of the time. Now that the other 2 power gangs on level 9 were gone they had lost said protection. He looked at Robin. She was the one he wanted the most. Looking in the arena he saw the boy who they had taken the challenge on behalf of Robin's gang. He knew the boy was strong. He had only been in purgatory for a few months and already he had 39 wins. He was undefeated in the pit. Zaza strolled over to Naruto confidently, before smiling at him. Listen here kid, if you get on your knees and suck my pecker like a good little bitch, I'll let you live, said Zaza. Naruto glared at Zaza. Before charging him, Naruto was upon Zaza in only a second. Zaza's eyes widened as he raised his right hand with his blades to impale Naruto. Naruto reached into his pocket and drew a butterfly knife. Stopping the attack, Naruto drew another butterfly knife and threw it at Zaza. The blade hit Zaza in the shoulder, making him yell in pain. Naruto took advantage of this and slid between Zaza's legs. Before cutting his tendons, Zaza fell to his knees. What a waste of time, said Naruto. The only reason I was able to beat you is because of your tendency to think you were invincible. Had you not taken me for granted and a weakling, this match could have ended in your favor, finished the blonde, slitting Zaza's throat. Everyone was silent as Mad Dog growled and threw off his jacket before jumping into the pit himself. Before Naruto knew it he was sent end over end thanks to a clothesline from Lars. Naruto landed hard on the ground, before Lars picked up and began to squeeze Naruto's neck with both his large hands. The blonde growled as he allowed the little bit Cubus chakra that he could use to flow into his system as he grabbed Lars' hands. Lars was strong, but thanks to Cubus power Naruto was just slightly stronger, pulling the arms away. Naruto spun in midair, before kicking Lars in the chest, sending his reeling backwards. Lars glared at Naruto, before smirking. Hey little buddy, no need for us to fight, said Lars, standing up stirred and holding his wounded chest. What do you mean? You attacked me, you big goon, yelled the blonde. It was rage. Zaza was a friend of mine from before life in this hole. Seeing him dead just triggered the mad dog inside of me, so I want to make you an offer, said Lars. What kind of offer? Asked Naruto, making the girls look at him. What the hell do you think you're doing? Yelled Bullet. Lars and Naruto ignored her. Become my new right hand, women, men if you prefer, creds, brawls, battle, whatever you want it's yours. You want that little bitch Bullet to be sucking your cock, she will, said Lars, showing his teeth with his smile. Naruto looked at him. Freedom, said Naruto, getting Lars to look at him. Get me free and I am your go-to guy. Lars growled, before charging at Naruto with the intent to kill him. Naruto dipped below the attack and focused Cubus chakra into his right hand. an unstable ball of chakra formed, making Naruto frown. This is the best I got, time to put it to work, thought Naruto.
Naruto charged at Mad Dog and put the ball to his face. Rasengan! Yelled Naruto.
Lars screamed as his face was ground up into hamburger meat, before he fell over dead. Naruto glared at those assembled, many backing away from the now strongest man in the 9th level. Who else wants some? Yelled Naruto, making many cower away from him. Robin smiled hearing her newest gang member. What interesting words, please keep up the good work, Naruto-kun, thought Robin. The small apartment wasn't what many would expect from the secretary and first apprentice of the 5th Hokage, but Shizune liked it. It was warm and brought comfort to the woman who was 33. She had grown her hair out to the middle of her back, and allowed her bangs to frame her face, while her hair was pulled into a ponytail, She wears a black, one-sleeved kimono held closed with a sash. Beneath this, she wears mesh armor, which is partially exposed on her sleeveless left-hand side, black high heels. She sighed as she looked out her window and out at the village. While the village seemed to prosper and grow to the causal person, the truth was that Konoha was very weak at the moment. Wave Country, Tea Country and Spring Country, while maintaining trade routes and a non-aggression pact, were not full allies. Suna and Taki were allies in name alone. Should Konoha get into a fight with any other nation, Suna and Taki would only come to their aid if they were attacked as well. The alliance with those two villages was paper thin at the moment.
Things within the shinobi forces had come to a head as well. Shinobi and Kunoichi were now in fear of messing the mission up, even if they did everything right. The trial of Naruto's had opened the floodgates for the civilians to have a field day with the shinobi forces. If the mission wasn't followed to the specifics, things were progressing backwards to the pre-Hatake Tsukumo era.
The worst thing, however, was that Uchiha Sasuke had been allowed back on active duty and even allowed to choose the women he would bring the Uchiha clan back with. He hadn't really chosen anyone yet, but he had his eyes on several high-ranking kunoichi, including herself. Thanks to Shizune's position as clan heiress, she was allowed to skirt that little law. Shizune was brought out of her thoughts as the whimper of a baby. Shizune got up and ran into her child's room. Laying in a crib was a baby that couldn't have been older than 6 to 9 months. The baby had black hair with yellow and red highlights, wrapped in a pink blanket, and despite not being able to see them due to her eyes being closed, the baby's eyes were blue. "Shish," said Shizune as she picked the baby up out of the crib and began to rock her. "It's alright, Kawina-chan. Ka-san is here for you, and even if he isn't here, Daddy will watch over you forever." Koto Uzumaki. Kawina calmed down hearing her mother's voice. Location: Purgatory Level 3, Olympias. Same time, the 3 most powerful people in the prison aside from the warden had decided to hold a meeting to discuss the unofficial new power in the lower levels. "So what do we know about the new power?" asked the leader of the scared chain, a one-armed man. His name was Ogi and he was what people called a dead man, a user of blood magic. "They have unbalanced the power here in Purgatory with their quick rise to power. Our 3 organizations have stood here for more than 50 years, changing leadership every few years, and while we may not be the best of friends, the balance has been kept. Something that needs rebalancing," said a young woman with long black hair and a katana. Her name was Saburale and she was the leader of Broken Sword. "What of their leader?" asked the final member of the 3. He was the eldest among them and looked like he could kill over at any minute. He was Guru, leader of Chaos Control. "The unofficial 4th power is called Aura, and I only know of their leader and his elites," said Ogi. "He is Uzumaki D. Naruto. He's earned the nickname Fox Demon. The closer he gets to Olympias, the stronger he seems to get. He took out orders decent within 2 months of him getting him, and it took only a week after that to ascend to level 8. He has continued this trend with his longest stop being on level 5 for a year and a half. The runes and seals do get weaker the higher you get," said Saburale. "That might be a contributing factor. And we all know that level 2 has no seals to keep those with tremendous power in check, as that is for civilians and nobles," said Guru. "Maybe if we can get Uzumaki to join us here, we will have enough power to enter the 2nd level," said Ogi. "This is something to ponder on," said Guru. "We must think of all avenues before Dark Horizon becomes a threat to us."
Ogi sighed. "This shouldn't be too much of a problem. I am getting my gang together. Should they try anything, we can destroy them with but a cut of our hands," said Ogi, getting up to leave.
"You leaving, Ogi-san?" asked Saburale. Location: Purgatory Level 4. HQ of Dark Horizon. Same time, Uzumaki. Naruto grunted as he finished filling the woman beneath him, pulling his spent shaft out of the former gang leader turned advisor. The leader of Dark Horizon had changed much in his time in prison. The now 19-year-old Uzumaki D. Naruto stood at 63 thanks to all the battles he had been, though he now had the body of a god. His blonde hair was still short, he had even grown a goatee. The physical change wasn't the only thing to change, his mentality also took a turn closer to darkness. While he didn't condone many things, he no longer turned away from the darker side of the world. In purgatory he had learned that the only way to keep any light in his life was to turn to the dark. His time in purgatory had also helped him refine his fighting styles. Each level, each fight he needed to change it up. He had ditched his butterfly knives on level 7 and taken up the sword. On level 5 he discarded those in favor of his fists. Now he was trying to bring it all together.
Did you enjoy yourself, Robin-chan? The young Uzumaki asked his advisor.
Robin looked at her boss with half-lated eyes. More than you could imagine, Uzumaki-sama, said Robin. Naruto smirked at her. Robin's gang had come under his control sometime around the 6th level. At the time, Bullet and Revy often traded him and Blair around to fuck each other. Or themselves. Sometimes they even sold Blair and himself out to other gangs for favors rendered. Around the 6th floor, Naruto had had enough of being their little dog and took them both on. After a sound beating he had turned both women into his bitches and took over Bullet's number 2 spot. Shortly after, Robin stepped down as leader and proclaimed Naruto as the new boss. This didn't sit well with Revy too much, so he had to punish her by selling her out to another gang. After 3 months away she came back docile as a house dog.
The door opened and Blair walked into the room. The years in prison had been kind to the young woman before him. Blair was the closet thing Naruto had to a family member you could have in this place. She was his sister, with all the kinky sex attached.
"What's up, Blair?" asked Naruto, turning to the woman who was like the secretary of Dark Horizon. "The independent gang rushing waters are causing problems for us at one of our weapons stands, Naruto-sama," said Blair, panting and sweating as she had run clear across the floor. "Send Bullet and a few of our people to deal with it. I got to go see the head guard on this level. We've been here for 6 months and the amount of creds to move up to the final level must be close to enough," said Naruto, getting up and dressing. Robin rolled over with the sheets still covering her. "Don't you want to stay in bed with me, Uzumaki-san?" asked Robin with a coy smile. Naruto smirked. "Keep talking and I might have to shove my dick in your mouth," said Naruto as he dressed. He pulled on a pair of black jeans, orange tiger strip jacket, a white v-neck shirt, orange and black boots. Reaching over he picked up his cutlass-styled sword and put it on his waist. While he didn't really use a sword or knives anymore, he still kept them on his person. Naruto walked out of his HQ and looked over everything. Unofficially his power was nothing. Each time he ascended he left behind the clingers, those who only saw him and his as a way to rise to Olympias. While Dark Horizon was considered the 4th power in the system, in truth the leftovers clung to their power. Dark Horizon was only really 9 members that Naruto had dubbed the true Dark Horizon: himself, Robin, Bullet, Kana, Blair, and 4 others he had picked up along the way. Most of the 4 mentioned names were his lovers in one form or another. Kana and Blair kept him from slipping too far into the dark. Bullet and Revy constantly kept his mind from the light, and Robin grounded him in the middle. Naruto stopped walking along the walkway as he looked at his guard and personal enforcer. The man he brought with him from level 8, he was a young man who was the same age as Naruto and stood at 510, his hair went past his back and was spiky with red highlight, red eyes, black jacket with a red and white shirt, black pants, running shoes, and 2 sets of gold rings on his wrists. This was Uzumaki Shadow, Naruto's adopted brother and the fastest man alive. He also happened to be Kana's boyfriend. "What kept you, brother?" asked Shadow as he fell in a step behind Naruto. "I was taking care of Robin," said Dark Horizon's leader with a smirk. Shadow shook his head. "Still hard to believe that you're fucking the demon child," said Shadow. "Are you saying that because of her former bounty of 80 million gold, when you yourself had a bounty of close to 200 million, said Naruto, rounding on Shadow, allowing what little power he had to pulse. Shadow stopped and tried not to antagonize his brother with his next words.
There was a reason Shadow didn't try and fight Naruto. Shadow had been a level 8 prisoner since he is 12. While on level 8 he worked for an offshoot of Chaos Control, since that also happened to be the name of his sealed powers. While he still could access his speed, he couldn't defeat his brother. For the 6 months Naruto had been on level 8 he had been a monster. Shadow had fought him several times, but never once did he come close to beating the Fox Demon.
"I meant no disrespect, brother. I just thought that by now you would have chosen a woman worthy of you and discarded her and the others," said Shadow. Naruto sighed and recalled his power. Before turning on his heels, "It's of little importance, but Robin can trap people with her body and voice alone. And while she is my advisor I must be careful not to fall into the trap she doesn't know about," said Naruto. The 2 men made their way to the booth and looked at the guard who was assigned to the block. He looked up from his book and quickly stood at attention for Naruto. "What can I do for you, Naruto-sama?" asked the guard. "My crew and I have 98 million creds. How many more do we need to ascend?" asked Naruto. The guard looked at him. "Naruto-sama, you need only 2 million more, before you can take the next level," said the guard. Naruto nodded before turning away. Shadow walked up and dropped a few hundred creds on the desk that speared the guards and the cons. Shadow speed up to Naruto and quickly caught his boss. Now what, brother? Asked Shadow. I don't need to get to level 3 for what I plan next, said Naruto. Shadow looked at Naruto. What do you mean? Asked Shadow. Naruto looked at the market and smirked before his eyes turned red. In good time, my brother, said Naruto. Satsuki sat in her chair drinking her tea as she read over the reports of things happening on the 3rd and 4th floors. Since the rise of Dark Horizon, things had fallen out of balance, and while Satsuki wasn't too worried about any of it, while she was warden of the prison, she was also at least at the level of a commander in the world government. Each of the Elite Four could contend with a lieutenant, while the strongest prisoners were only at the level of an ensign. Lady Satsuki, said the largest of her Elite Four and the head of the riot guards, Imu Gomagori.
Satsuki turned and looked at the man who was larger than life. Thanks to training his special powers, the stronger his passion, the larger and stronger he became. Of course, being Satsuki's shield, he trained to protect her with his life. Standing normally, at 65 he was all muscle and dark-skinned, blonde slicked back hair, dark eyes, long earlobes, and wearing a white uniform with 3 stars on the shoulder, arm guards, and spikes on the shoulder.
What is it, Gomagori? Asked Satsuki. The results of Uzumaki's blood lineage have finally returned to us, milady, said Gomagori, handing her a folder. Sasaki glared at the folder, before turning to the large man. Where has this been? I asked for this nearly 5 years ago? Asked Satsuki. The noble courts, Dymiyo, and councils of Konoha kept the paperwork tied up in the WG courts, said a woman who popped up next to Gomagori. I had to call in a few political favors to get them.
She was Satsuki's oldest friend and right hand. At times she knew what Satsuki was going to do before she did it. Nonin Jakuzer, the head of administrations. Nonin is petite, standing at only 51 with pink hair and an angular face. Unlike most females, she has a small bust and medium hips. She is almost always seen with a skull-marked hat, a white marching band dress, knee-high boots, and a baton in her hands.
Satsuki narrowed her eyes, going all the way up to the WGC. What could the Land of Fire be hiding? Satsuki asked herself as she put the folder down and opened it.
Opening it, she was insistently greeted by a birth certificate. Already red flags were raised as the name of the father and mother were blurted out, even if it was a state secret. Such a thing should NT have been done. Moving on to the next document, things just became more confusing. The blood work on the paper was done by Senju Tsunade herself, and it stated that Uzumaki came from a long line of seal masters and well-respected individuals. This was going to take a while to sort though.
Get me Inumuda and Iori. This information needs to be uncovered quickly, said Satsuki as she got up. Where are you headed, Lady Satsuki? Asked Gomagori. I need to talk to the Council of Judges. If Inumuda and Iori uncover what I think they will, then the Land of Fire may be facing the might of the world government for unjustly imprisoning a man of royal blood of an independent nation with no just cause, said Satsuki, the clicking of her heels clear as day on the ground. Location: Purgatory level 4. Same time, 2 corpses were thrown into a pile that was starting to groan in the center of the cell.
Bullet, Revi, and the troops that Naruto had allowed them had just finished cleaning up a rival gang. The 2 women had changed little in the last 5 years, but knew that Uzumaki owned them, and with his relationship with Blair being on better terms than them, they knew better than to try the girl. Also, with Shadow acting as their direct superior, they were not stupid enough to even think of revolt. Hurry up with this trash, Uzumaki will want this report, said Bullet, frowning as the lower members of Dark Horizon worked. Revi looked at the people who worked for her boss. Nothing but disposable thugs, murders, thieves, and everything else you could think of. Uzumaki was building up an inner circle that could take control of this prison. That was what he told everyone, and Revi was sure that it was a crock of shit. Revi reached for her gun and turned, pointing her pistol at Kana. Bullet turned and saw the ever-silent girl standing there. They were always creeped out about how the girl moved around so silently. It was often joked that she didn't have a soul. That didn't stop her from being a threat. Being the lover of the fastest man in the place gave her a level of protection that kept many away from her. Forget the fact that she was also protected by Robin and Naruto. Revi put her gun away. What the hell do you want, doll? Asked Revi. Kana ignored her nickname. Naruto-sama has called the inner circle for a meeting, said Kana. Bullet glared at the girl, before they followed after her to see what the king wanted. The walk was short, with so few gangs and regular criminals left. No one was willing to oppose or even step out into the halls. Bullet and Revi soon found themselves along with Kana in the presence of Blair, Robin, Shadow, and Naruto, as well as the underboss of the gang and the strongest enforcer in the gang. The underboss of Dark Horizon was Zen Aku, the peaceful evil. Many people thought he was a demo with the level of power he had. Before he had been captured, he had killed 4 Marine Navy captains, 10 Army lieutenants, and sank 18 battleships alone. At 27 years old, he stood at 62 with a physically dominating appearance, white hair that fell to his shoulders, yellow wolf-like eyes, wearing a pair of black cargo pants, tucked into black boots, a black muscle shirt, black arm bracers, wolf tribal tattoo on his left arm. Next to him in the corner was a black katana. Zen-Aku had been a level 5 convict that had made a name for himself as the lone wolf. Each of the gangs had approached him, but he always told them the same thing. 1. If you can't conquer this blade of mine, then you will never have my loyalty. And for the 7 years he was in level 5, no one was strong enough to stop his blade, his one-hit kill attack, at least until he met Uzumaki d Naruto. He fought Naruto in a one-on-one sword battle. Uzumaki had shown his skill by not only deflecting most of his attacks, but taking his strongest attack head-on and defeating it. From that day forward Zen-Aku pledged himself into Naruto's service. The last person to enter into Naruto's inner circle was a girl who was the same age as him. She also happened to be the most ruthless of them all and proclaimed herself as Naruto's one true love. Neapolitan, or Neo as she preferred to be called, she was as beautiful as she was short. Standing at only 410 with large C-cup breasts, long hair that was pink on the right with white streaks and brown on the left.
While she could control the color of her eyes between pink, brown, and white, currently the right eye was pink, and the left was brown. Neo wears a white jacket with a pink interior that was skin-tight brown pants,
and gray boots with very high heels, a black corset, curved in the middle and at the bottom, exposing her hips. Neo may be cute, but don't let that fool you. She was a very skilled fighter and loved chaos. She was a master of illusions, but that was only the tip of her fighting skills. She was elusive as hell and often hard to catch. She rarely talked, and when she did it was always something important, profound, or to her beloved master, too. What did you call us for, Uzumaki? Asked Revi. Naruto took a seat on the couch and looked at the inner circle. Now that you're all here I can tell you that it's time we make our escape, said Naruto as Neo quickly found her seat on his lap as he put his arm around her. Everyone looked at the man as if he was crazy. Purgatory was an inescapable prison, and even if they managed to make it past the guards, the elite officers, and the warden, they were still on a rock in the middle of the ocean. Not to mention once they left, the WG would have bounties out on all of them, effectively making any freedom they obtain nothing more than a falsehood. What do you mean by that, Uzumaki-sama? Asked Zen-Aku. Have you not noticed it? Asked Naruto, making them all look at him. It's small, almost unnoticeable, but any powers you have are returning, said Naruto. How can you be so sure that our powers are returning? Asked Shadow. Sure, Shadow wanted to believe his brother, but knew that the things he was saying were crazy. Naruto held up his hand and in it the Rasengan appeared, but not the unstable mess that he normally used when he fought someone who was strong. It was stable and holding firm inside of the Uzumaki's hands. It's taking all my mental focus and 70% of my power, but now I can hold my strongest technique for as long as I want. Robin, if you would be so kind, said Naruto, dismissing the Rasengan. Robin crossed her arms. Bloom, yelled Robin as she made 10 arms appear on her back. How is this possible? Asked Revi, having never seen Robin use any skills aside from her analytical mind. Do not question my beloved, said Neo. Her voice was soft, so soft you would miss the sweet melody if you were not paying attention to the words she said. Naruto put his hand on Neo's head. I didn't know this until we were on the 5th floor, but Robin here ate something called a devil fruit. I know a little about them, but if you want to know more ask Robin, said Naruto. If you're asking how we can use our powers, I'll leave that to Blair-chan. The base of the prison, level 10, is the deadliest place where criminals who Father Time would rather forget reside. As you know, seals, runes, and other methods of taking powers away are scattered around. The higher you get, the lower the seals. Level 3 is minimum super powered, while level 10 is death row. Anything above level 3 has no seals, meaning that once we breach level 2 our powers will be returned in full, said Blair. Bullet held out her hand and allowed small flames to appear, before she banished them away. So we have limited use of our power. What are we going to do with them? Asked Bullet. Move to level 3 is the first step in all of this. We are too far off from freedom. I told Shadow that we wouldn't need to ascend to level 3 to escape, but making it there would make things easy for us. Take out the leaders of Scared Chain, Chaos Control, and Broken Sword. Afterwards we break into level 2 and fight our way out, said Naruto. Isn't that a bit reckless? Asked Shadow. No, if we time this correctly we'll be free. Neo, Zen-Aku, and I each currently have around a Marine Captain's level of strength. Upon freedom we each should have access to our true power, said Naruto. The rest of the meeting was spent hashing out details and applying for contingencies. Location: Purgatory, Warden's personal room. 0100. Satsuki rubbed her head in annoyance as she poured herself a glass of scotch. The results were not good in the slightly. First name: Naruto. Middle name: D. Last name: Uzumaki Namikaze. Date of birth: October 11, 836 ASV. Birth mother: Uzumaki Kushina. Birth father. Namikaze D. Minato. Looking at the birth certificate, she already did some digging in classified flies from the N. Namikaze Minato was the name of a SSS-ranked man from a war nearly 20 years ago, the only man to ever receive a flea on-site order. He was also the fourth Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, the strongest village in the eastern nations. Looking at the other files, everything was starting to add up. The blood work showed that he was the last of the Uzumaki royal bloodline. That meant that he had a lot of clout inside of the Hidden Leaf Village, as his great-great-great-grandfather helped lay the groundwork for the system that was in place today by the Big Five. The reason that they had imprisoned him is because of a clause that was hidden in the charter that Konoha had created. Iori had dug it up from the archives and presented it to her. Article 8. Any clan that is found in the village that is on the verge of dying out will be put into the CRP, Clan Resurrection Plan, see Article 11, to keep the clan alive and well, until such a time that they are back to suitable fighting power. However, in the event that a clan has died out before the CRP can be satisfied by village standards, then all techniques, property, artifacts, and wealth will be merged into the village's own. Downing the glass in one shot, she looked over more documents, and all the evidence pointed to Konoha breaking WGC, World Government Court's treaties with the Whirlpool Nation, as known as one of the 187 countries or land of ebbing tides as known by the elemental nations. This was an international mess if she ever saw one. She reached for her phone and picked it. After hitting a few buttons, she allowed the phone to ring. "Hello," came a voice on the other end. The voice sounded as if they were woken from a deep sleep. "General Esdeath, this is Warden Kryuin. I need to call a meeting with Fleet Admiral Akainu and Governor General Yamamoto. 3. The Land of Fire has breached the treaty between itself and a land affiliated with the WG, said Satsuki. "How so?" asked Esdeath, sounding much more awake. "They have imprisoned a third-class world noble, 4 heir, no king to the Whirlpool Nation, and the last known Uzumaki on record," said Satsuki. "Tell me more, Satsuki," said Esdeath. And I call that a wrap for this chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. While the last few chapters have moved fast, things are going to slow down quite a bit, since this is diving into the international politics side of things. On that note, I leave you and bid you adieu. Please leave lots of nice reviews. Dark Horizon, Current Incarnation. Leader, Uzumaki D, Naruto the Fox Demon. Vice Leader, Zen Aku. Advisor, Nico Demon Child Robin, Kana of the Void. Secretary, Blair Flanagan Fairy Girl. Male members of the clan will be allowed to take as many wives as needed. 2 to 10 depending on the decline of the clan. Should there be less than 2 males in a clan, then males will be pulled from active duty until they have at least 3 children and at least one of them male. They will not be able to perform any shinobi duty until said male child is old enough to reproduce and enter into the shinobi forces. The elders and Hokage will oversee that the clan is flourishing before the clan is allowed into active duty. Female members of a clan, should there be only female members of a clan, they will be taken into protective custody to breed with suitable males of the council's choice. Should the female not already have a male in mind. A female should have at least 5 children that will be taken in by the state, village, for care while their mother is still producing children. After the 5th child is born, the mother is released to take care of her children with a stipend from the village until such a time as the oldest child has had offspring of their own and may aid in the reproduction of the clan and shinobi affairs. Should the female give birth to nothing but females, the program will continue until a male heir is born into the clan. Article 12. The Hokage has the authority to make new position at his or her discretion. They may also abolish a position at any moment they chose, except the following: Civilian Council, the Shinobi Council, the Elder Advisors. Article 13. In times of war, the Hokage can declare martial law on the village to ensure the safety of all people. Article 14. Shinobi, kunoichi with unique skills, abilities or jutsu may petition the Hokage, elders, or clan council to form a clan. In order to do so, one of the following criteria for jutsu, abilities, and one for the council must be met. The ability in question must be able to be taught or passed through blood family. The jutsu, ability must have at least 3 basic variants in jutsu. A clan or the Hokage may bring the family into the council chambers for evaluation. During evaluation, 3 clans must agree. The Hokage and elders agree to allow the clan into the shinobi forces, superseding the clan council. Shizune held Kawina in her arms as she played with her bundle of joy. Kawina laughed happily as her Ka-chan held her in the air, before planting butterfly kisses on her nose, before lowering her and repatting the process. Despite how she was conceived, Shizune loved her child to death. After all, it was about protecting Naruto-kun legacy. Flashback 2 years ago, Shizune sat at her desk going over some paperwork. It was late in the day and soon it would be time to. "I said no, you misrable, old fools," yelled Tsunade from her office.
The door slammed open and out walked Kahara and Homura. Homura turned to Tsunade. Tsunade-chan, I understand how you feel about this, but without a viable heir to the Uzumaki and Namikaze family, then what is left of them needs to be integrated into the village. What about Naruto? Yelled Tsunade. He's still alive and therefore you can't take what Kushina-chan and Minato left for him. And a convicted criminal on the word of our daimyo and land of fire courts. He is imprisoned in purgatory for 120 years as such was handed down. Face it, Tsunade, he will never leave that place alive and without a child, then we have no choice but to lay claim to his inheritance as per Village Charter Article 8, said Hamaru as he allowed his age to show. While he didn't always agree with Danzo and Kaharu, he knew that they were right on this one. The power that lay inside of the abandoned Uzumaki clan house, shrine, and even the scrolls inside of the Hokage vault was going to waste, it needed to be used. Bury your feelings for the boy Tsunade, he is dead to us. Look to the future, with Danzo grooming Uchiha-san in politics and Kakashi training him, we have a powerful Hokage in waiting, we can bet our future on him, said Kaharu closing her eyes. The elders walked off leaving Tsunade alone with Shizune. Both Tsunade and Shizune had reviewed all Konoha laws for loopholes to get Naruto back into the village. But with the fire daimyo and his courts backing the elders' play, there was nothing she could do. In the eyes of the land of fire she was a noble of some station, but years of drinking, gambling, and overall self-loathing had cost her reputation in the courts, and even if she was to use all the favors and pull she had left, it still wouldn't be enough to get the young man she saw as her son back. Those bags of bones are running circles around me and there's not a damn thing I can do about it, yelled Tsunade. Actually Tsunade, there is something you can do, said Shizune looking at her mentor. You can use the shinobi legacy policy, said Shizune. Tsunade looked at Shizune. What are you talking about? Asked Tsunade. Shizune went to her desk and placed a sheet of paper in front of her. It was a decree that was made shortly after Hiruzen-sama took office. We lost many shinobi and kunoichi during the Second and Third War. Hiruzen-sama declared that sperm would be taken from males and eggs from females so that should a shinobi or kunoichi die in battle, it ensures that their family line will continue, said Shizune. The Slug Princess sighed. Knowing the policy that she knew, Shizune, I already thought about that. The problem is that this is a lifelong mission, and not one of my kunoichi will do for this type of mission, said Tsunade. Shizune looked to the side and picked up a mission scroll, before quickly using her skills in administration to write out a mission contract. Sure, she fudged a few details and placed it as a village critical mission, but to her and her master it was. Naruto was always a central part of their lives and she would be damned if the council took what rightfully belonged to Naruto. Rolling it up she pushed it to Tsunade. Tsunade raised an eyebrow and unrolled the scroll. As she read what her student wrote, her eyes widened in shock at what it said and knew that it was one of the only ways to stop the council from consuming anything that belonged to Naruto. At the same time she would forever condemn Shizune to a life that she may not want. Looking at Shizune, all doubt about what she wanted was erased from her mind. She steeled herself for what she was about to do. Jonin Kato Shizune, said Tsunade, snapping into Hokage mode, and by extension making Shizune snap into mission mode. Hi Hokage-sama? Asked Shizune. This mission, if you chose to accept it, is a long-term A-ranked mission. Know that if you take this mission there is a good chance that you may cut your career as a kunoichi short and may even never be in the field again, said Tsunade, putting her hands in front of her face. I am well aware of the risks, Lady Tsunade. I am a kunoichi of Konoha and I will do my duty for the village. What are the details of the mission? Said Shizune, looking her mentor dead in the eye. Tsunade had to fight to hide her smirk. Very well. In accordance with Konoha Charter Article 18, as created by the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, should a shinobi fall in battle or be declared dead by, then the village will not allow that shinobi's legacy to die with them. With that you are to accompany me to the hospital where shinobi Uzumaki Naruto's sperm will be inseminated into you so you can conceive a child for him. This will be a long-term A-ranked mission until the child is of age to join the academy. Also from this point forward you are officially married to the name Uzumaki Naruto, said Tsunade. 9 months later, Kato Uzumaki Kawina was born. Flashback end. She lowered her daughter as the honorable elders led by Danzo walked up to her. Kawina began to frown and glare as she looked at the elders. Shizune sat her child inside of the playpen where she stood up on her stubby legs, all the while glaring at Danzo. Danzo looked at the young toddler with a calculating mind. After it was announced that Shizune was pregnant with Naruto's child, the civilian and elders were up in arms about what Shizune and by extension Tsunade had played the council. Since the child was of Uzumaki bloodline, she was protected under Konoha laws. She was also the future of the village. Danzo wanted her under his wing. He didn't want to lose out on another Potatal prospect like he did with the Kyuubi host. It also didn't help matters that Shizune was legally married to the Kyuubi host and was from a clan that was still somewhat functioning in Konoha. What can I do for you, Danzo-san? Homura-san? Kaharu-san? asked Shizune, glaring at Danzo and the elders for what they did to her husband. Is Suande-sama in? We need to speak with her regarding a matter of national security, said Danzo. Shizune looked at the elders before nodding. She is inside, but do not expect a warm welcome, said Shizune, picking up Kawina and walking them to the door.
Shizune pushed it open and found Tsunade reading over a report from Team Shino. Over that last 5 years the former genin of the Rookie 9 and later Konoha 11 had all come into their own. Sakura took a teaching job at the hospital for medical ninja. Hinata and Tenten were both teachers at the academy. Ino worked in the Anbuti and I division. Shoji and Shikamaru had become border patrol. Neji, Lee, Kiba, and Sasuke had all moved and become jonin who took regular missions.
Tsunade looked up and smiled as Shizune entered the room along with her grandchild. Reaching out, she took the young child and began to coddle her. Her smile vanished when she saw the elders, setting Kawina on her lap as the baby began to chew on the ends of Tsunade's hair. Shizune took her position behind Tsunade and got her senbon launcher ready. What do you old bags of bones want? Asked Tsuande, getting a giggle from Kawina.
This is an urgent matter, Tsunade. We got a letter from the world government, said Danzo, throwing a letter onto the desk.
What does it say? Asked Tsunade, looking at the letter. We don't know, it's sealed, it arrived over a week ago, said Homura.
Tsunade frowned. Before her eyes widened, handing Kawina off to Shizune, she quickly picked up the letter as it glowed. Before fading back to white, it was a sealed envelope. Meaning that it was addressed to me personally. I heard that the WG had skills that rivaled if not surpassed our own when it came to seals. Why wasn't this delivered to me earlier? Said Tsunade as she began to read.
The world government is not known for being nice, Tsunade-sama, even to its allies. We took precautions in case there was something wrong with the letter, said Homura. 6th Hokage, Senju Tsunade. It has come to the attention of the WG, world government, that the heir or rather king of one of our affiliated nations served in your military for a period of 1 year. Before he was imprisoned for completing his mission, and a traitor was allowed to go free. While we have no say-so over what you do with your soldiers, imprisoning not only a king, but a third-tier world noble is inexcusable. We would like to have an audience with you in a few weeks to check the court reviews as well as see that his rights as a dual citizen of both the world government and the land of fire were upheld. If not, we will respond in kind. If we come to the conclusion that Uzumaki Naruto was imprisoned unfairly, then expect war. We will be sending Colonel Kuchiki of the 13th Combat Division to oversee things in our stand. She will be arriving in 2 weeks' time. Please have all case files ready for her for review. Directors of the WG Gorsei. Tsunade paled as she passed the letter around the room. As each of them read what it said, they realized how much trouble they were in. A letter from any of the high positions in the WG was bad, but a letter directly from the Gorsei was as close to a warning before war as you were going to get if they didn't like your answer. While none of the shinobi or kunoichi present had ever faced off with the world government, they had heard stories about them from the first and second Hokage. They were a powerful bunch who had one belief: absolute justice. Controlling the largest military force in the world gave them some leeway in their actions, and the directors, the Goresei, were not people you crossed unless you had a death wish. In 1 week the world government representative will be here, and whoever it is will not show mercy to us, said Tsunade. Then what do we need to do, Tsunade-sama? Asked Homura. Gather the court documents, as the letter said. We don't need to give the WG more ammo than they already have to declare war on us, said Tsunade with sweat rolling down her face. Who would have thought that boy had so much clout, said Kaharu, rivaling the thoughts of everyone in the room. Location: Ocean WGV Burning Blood 00002 figures could be seen on the deck of the Burning Blood as the 5 vessels they commanded were on their way to the elemental nation. More specifically, the land of fire. The first figure was a large man standing at 65 with muscle stacked. Slicked back sliver hair, black eyes, wearing a gray coat that was open with a long sleeve white coat hanging on his shoulders. On the back of the coat was an anchor with the word for marine on the back, blue skinny jeans, a pair of brown boots, and a pair of sunglasses. Across his back was his weapon, a seastone jute with a red handle. In his mouth was a cigar from the South Blue. This man was Rear Admiral Smoker, commander of the 5 battleships currently on their way to the elemental nations. Standing next to him was a young woman. She didn't stand more than 51, with a petite body, large B-cup breasts, and long legs, long black hair that fell to the middle of her shoulders, wearing a pair of skin-tight white pants, a black muscle shirt with a white button-up shirt over it, that a long-sleeve white hori with the kanji for 13 on the back. This was Colonel Kuchiki Rukia, head of the 13th Division of the WG Army Branch. Her official role in this was to act as overseer of justice on the part of King Naruto, while Smoker was to act as her bodyguard and advisor. Don't you think this is a little overboard? I could have handled this with just my forces and a pair of captains acting as my guards, said Rukia, looking at Smoker. If it wasn't for Warden Satsuki's digging, then we never would have known that a third-tier noble had been betrayed like that. We as the WG need to make it known that we will not tolerate something like this. Fleet Admiral Akainu was calling for a buster call. Only the Gorsei and Governor General Yamamoto stopped him, said Smoker, blowing smoke from his mouth. Rukia looked at him. She knew that Akainu had zero tolerance for those who broke absolute justice, but a buster call was not something to take lightly. That would spark a war with the elemental nations. Not just the land of fire, said Rukia. I know, and as much as I hate to say it, despite not having haki, they have those jutsu which could easily stop those of us who have eaten devil fruits. Speaking of which, I heard that you recently ate one. What was it? Rukia nodded. I ate the frost fruit. While not as powerful as the ice fruit, I've already figured out how to use a few attacks. Soda no Shirayuki, said Rukia as she held out her hand and summoned a sword that was beautiful and was made of frost. Summoning a sword? Is that all you can do? Asked Smoker. Rukia looked at Smoker and raised her ki, nearly making him reach for his weapon. Don't underestimate me just because you've had your devil fruit for over 20 years and me a little less than 7 weeks. But I am still more than capable of taking you out, said Rukia, making the sword vanish. Before turning on her heel and walking away. I stop here, friends.